It's impossible.
General, please.
There's no way he was able to eliminate 5 special grade sorcerers when before now we haven't been able to eliminate or kill a single one.
Which is why I believe we should allow Lieutenant Riley to give his report.
Very well. Lieutenant Riley.
Sir.
How was it you were able to successfully take out 5 special grade Jujutsu sorcerers?
Of course, sir. I'll start from the beginning. When I touched down in the combat area, I immediately discovered that the equipment I had brought with me would be insufficient. It seems that conventional weapons have no effect on beings that utilize cursed energy.
Foolishness! We already knew that. Against any curse or sorcerer grade 2 or higher, conventional weapons are completely ineffective.
Correct, sir. Which is why I made a contract. Actually, it would be more accurate to call it a binding vow.
A what? With who?
I'll explain further. 17 years ago, there was a cursed spirit utilized by a certain man named Toji Fushiguro. It was known as the Inventory Curse, and was believed to be a low-level cursed spirit with the ability to store cursed weaponry inside of its body.
Yes, it's the same curse Suguru Geto later used to store Playful Cloud when he fought against Yuta Okotsu. An interesting creature, but ultimately unimportant.
Not necessarily, sir. You see, General, neither Toji Fushiguro, Suguru Geto, nor anyone in the world of Jujutsu were aware of the true potential of this spirit. Inventory is not a low-level curse, nor is its name Inventory. The true nature of this curse is that of a special grade death womb. The name is Gate of Babylon.
What? Where did you get such information?
From the curse itself. It's far more intelligent than previously believed.
My name is Gate of Babylon, and my curse technique is the ability to manifest items from your memory and then store them within my body, using your cursed energy as a catalyst.
Turns out storing both the soul-splitting katana and the inverted spear of heaven fundamentally affected the cursed energy of the spirit, leading to its evolution. But there are limitations on its ability. The larger and more destructive the weapon, the more cursed energy is required to manifest it from my memory. Which means the weaponry I was able to use was limited by my level as a Jujutsu sorcerer. For example, as a grade 4 sorcerer, Gate of Babylon was only able to produce various forms of pistols. If I wanted more powerful weaponry, which I would need, I had to level up and gain greater mastery over my cursed energy. So that's what I did.
You became a sorcerer?
Not quite, sir. I believe the word that Jujutsu High would use for me is a curse user. In fact, I never actually manifested a curse technique on my own. Gate of Babylon is completely independent of me, and only entered into a contract with me out of personal disdain for special grade sorcerer Satoru Gojo.
Nevertheless, you navigated through their power system.
That's correct, sir. I quickly discovered that the best mechanism for gaining greater cursed power was primarily through combat with other curses and sorcerers. Because cursed energy comes from the negative emotions of an individual, turns out violence and death isn't a bad way to gain experience. At grade 3, I gained access to various submachine guns. At grade 2, Babylon became able to produce a wide variety of standard and or non-standard issue assault rifles, my favorite among them being the MK14 EBR. Grade 1 came with access to a number of sniper rifles and shotguns, and special grade status.
Wait, you became a special grade yourself?
That is correct, sir. I do not have a curse technique, as most curse techniques are innate and I was born without one. But in terms of cursed energy and strength reserves, along with detailed control of the manipulation of my cursed energy, yes, I don't believe it would be wrong to call me a special grade. Though I admit in comparison to the 4 special grades from Jujutsu High, I'm still pretty small potatoes.
We will revisit this topic. As for now, any non-special grades worth mentioning?
Yes, sir. 2 of the grade 1s proved especially difficult to deal with. The speed granted to users of projection sorcery was particularly astounding. When I engaged in Ibito Zenin, not only did he move consistently faster than my rate of fire, he appeared to freeze the bullets in midair several times during combat. Oi Todo also wielded a curse technique based on movement, the ability to switch places with another person, though I suspect that he has the ability to switch with anything as long as it wields cursed energy. I doubt either of these sorcerers understand the full potential of their techniques. They were able to focus their techniques from the cursed energy of an individual organ or weapon. Being able to freeze it in place or switch with that organ would be an absolutely fatal attack. Nevertheless, both Aritoto and Nabito Zenin were exceptionally strong.
But you managed to kill them both.
Of course, sir. Whether it be the switching of places or high-speed movement through projection sorcery, patterns of motion can become repetitive and easy to read rather quickly.
There was a certain man we were curious about. Do you have any opinion on Yuji Itadori?
Durable. In comparison to many of his sorcerer colleagues, Yuji Itadori was unremarkable, but I put 23 armor-piercing rounds into his chest, and yet it didn't kill him. That's not a man I would have wanted to face unprepared. Which actually, General, reminds me of another anomaly, but I'll address her later in the report.
The special grades.
The special grades. By the time I had reached special grade status of my own, I had enough cursed energy to fully utilize Gate of Babylon. Through the technique of the Cursed Womb, I now had access to any and every weapon and attachment I had ever committed to memory. This increased the scope of my arsenal to include things such as explosive ordnance, heavy weaponry, and other tools of the trade I've come in contact with over the years. I confirmed the effectiveness of these new weapons on special grade cursed spirits, just a stress test to ensure they would hold up in the field. I especially found special grade cursed spirit Mahito to be extremely useful in testing if my ammunition really refilled automatically. 4,732 bullets were needed to put him down, actually.
What was the order and method of your engagement with the special grades after the completion of your tests?
Sir, the first target I chose to engage was Yuki Tsukumo. Upon engagement, I could immediately tell she was incomparable to something like a special grade cursed spirit. Her output was higher than that of even Jogo, the strongest of the three disaster curses. With her ability to manipulate her innate mass along with the mass of her Shikigami, any defense I could have erected to defend against an attack of hers would have instantly been crushed. Engaging in any sort of close quarters combat would equal immediate death.
Which is why I'm sure we find it hard to believe
Which is why I put 4 rounds of depleted uranium into her skull.
Nonsense! How did you even penetrate her cursed energy?
Velocity.
Velocity? Explain more, Lieutenant.
Did you know that in a Category 3 hurricane or higher, there have been reported cases of something like a piece of straw being able to penetrate barn doors 4 inches thick? This is because, given the force of the wind carrying the straw, the velocity of the straw is raised so high that its mass and density become almost unimportant. Anything that impacts at a high enough speed becomes a dangerous source of destruction. So while my cursed energy moving at the speed of a punch or a kick wouldn't have been enough to damage any of the special grades, especially Yuki, if that cursed energy were to be traveling at, let's say, 350 meters per second, the kinetic energy gained from traveling at such a velocity would provide more than enough force for my cursed energy to penetrate almost anything on God's green earth.
But they have the reverse curse technique. There's still—
It's a powerful ability indeed, sir. But its weakness lies in damage to the brain and a difficulty in healing complex ailments, such as poison or radiation. Once my bullet managed to enter her skull, the round of depleted uranium lodging into brain matter was able to deliver a direct dose of acute radiation poisoning. The speed of the spread was further propagated by my cursed energy. This proved an effective strategy against most of the special grades.
I see. Tell me about the one with the long hair.
Suguru Geto is an exceptional sorcerer who boasts the highest versatility among all the special grades. There is currently no known limit to the amount of curses he can absorb, or the depth of the ability that is hidden within that arsenal. But his ultimate weapon, Maximum Uzumaki, is also his greatest weakness. I cornered him in a village and put 3 rounds in him to bait out that Uzumaki. And after that, I proceeded very carefully. Given that his output is almost to the same level as Satoru Gojo's Hollow Purple, if it were to actually make contact with me, there would have been an extremely high chance of a fatal wound and or total obliteration.
If it made contact, you say?
That's correct, sir. I made sure to engage Geto in a residential area and use the buildings to break his line of sight. Given the number of buildings and the 3 rounds of uranium in his head, I knew there was a high chance that Geto would miss his attack. Once Maximum Uzumaki is expended, so too are all the cursed spirits Geto has in his possession. And after confirming the exhaustion of his arsenal and cursed energy from launching his maximum technique, a single strike from a rocket-propelled grenade was enough to send him on his way.
Ha! Inconceivable.
Analysis, sir. The impossible is often hidden behind a simple matter of observation, after all.
And what analysis did you use to take out Yuta Okotsu?
Yuta Okotsu, the sorcerer known as second only to Gojo Satoru in unusual abilities, and boasts an even higher amount of cursed energy than his teacher. His ability to copy cursed techniques is only surpassed in lethality by the queen in his deck, Rika Oramoto, a Shikigami that is able to function semi-independently and continues to grow stronger every time she's summoned.
Quite the obstacle.
Quite indeed. I wasn't even sure if depleted uranium would be enough to puncture the sheer totality of his cursed energy. That'd be a bit more like trying to blow a piece of straw through a block of iron. In comparison to the previous special grades, my options were limited.
So what did you do, soldier?
I waited for an opportunity. Yuta Okotsu has only ever shown true vulnerability once, and that is after fighting against Ryu Ishigori and Uro in the Sendai colonies. While his cursed energy reserves are massive, his cursed energy efficiency is not on the same level as the likes of Gojo or Sukuna. If he uses an exceedingly large amount of his cursed energy in a short period of time, he will run out, which is why I only initiated an attack once he had finished fighting with a special grade level opponent. Yuta had also summoned the full strength of Rika during that fight, which means he couldn't maintain her form for the duration of the fight to come.
And how long was the engagement?
Short. Okotsu was exhausted, and I caught him by surprise. I was worried about being unable to penetrate through his cursed energy, but that was when he was at full strength. 200 rounds fired from an overpressured M60 from a distance of about 2 feet proved to be more than enough to do the job when he was exhausted. However, the Shikigami Rika Oramoto did not disappear with the death of Yuta Okotsu. The death of Yuta only seemed to cause her to become wildly enraged and completely independent. She had completely incarnated into a vengeful cursed spirit. Her cursed energy was slightly greater than that of Yuta's. This was an unexpected variable, and if we hadn't been in a forest, it may have turned out worse. But I was able to use the narrow and dense conditions to my advantage, sealing off her range of motion and engaging with heavy machine gun fire, using the trees as natural barriers to her attacks. Normally, given that she's a more intelligent creature than most, she would have just blown the whole area to smithereens. But given her maddened state, her attacks, while powerful, were linear and lacked true focus. She was dead in about 7 minutes.
Soldier, this is all well and good, and we are pleased to hear that your affinity for battle analysis and lengthy history of combat proved useful against the special grades. But Satoru Gojo and Ryomen Sukuna are different. They can barely be classified as mortal creatures, especially Gojo, who was born with the limitless curse technique as well as the 6 eyes. What weapon could you have possibly used to defeat such a man?
Gentlemen, let me begin by stating a fact. Gojo Satoru is completely immune to every instance of modern weaponry. The weapons of humanity, at their current level, are unlikely able to even capture the attention of that man, much less pose any threat to his life. That being said, I still felt obligated to ensure that was true. Sniper rifle, assault rifle, grenades, explosive ordnance, all proved completely ineffective against his infinity. But while Gojo is immune to all forms of conventional warfare, he is not immune to the tactics employed by conventional warfare: misleading your enemy, hiding your true intentions, introducing unexpected variables. These basic strategies of war, when employed effectively, are capable of deceiving even the 6 eyes. General, you ask which weapon did I use against Satoru Gojo? The only weapon that could really pose a threat to his life. I used Ryomen Sukuna.
You used the King of Curses?
It's more accurate to say that after provoking Gojo with my ineffective attacks, I led him through the world to a predetermined location, that being the confirmed current location of Ryomen Sukuna, which I confirmed 45 minutes before my confrontation with Gojo.
Lieutenant, how were you able to survive that long?
I got lucky. Before I engaged with the special grades, I found myself in a confrontation with a remarkably dangerous individual. Maki Zenin. It was a rather long fight, so I'll spare you all the heavy details, but it's not often that I can find a combatant who can block subsonic bullets with a sword. In the end, I managed to take her down, but not before recording her movements to memory. It was only by utilizing this form of movement that I was able to avoid the attacks of Satoru Gojo until we reached Sukuna's location.
That is madness, Lieutenant. The risk of such an action is
sizable. I know, sir. But if you'll indulge me for a moment, imagine that you're a shark. And now imagine that while you're chasing down a smallish fish that had been nipping at your tail for a while, you encounter another shark, one just as big as you, with teeth just as sharp. Where would you focus your attention, General? What's the more immediate threat? I put faith in the basic logic of predators. And sure enough, Gojo was engaged by Sukuna immediately. The strong are always good opponents to fight because they are bound to act in the way that is expected of one who is strong. Ryomen Sukuna killed Satoru Gojo in 12 minutes and 11 seconds, give or take. With Gojo confirmed deceased, all that was left was to eliminate the last surviving special grade threat.
It is no simple manner to kill an imaginary god.
No, General, it certainly isn't. Given his reverse curse technique, peculiar physiology, and overall unrivaled mastery of Jujutsu, just as with Satoru Gojo, if not more so, killing Ryomen Sukuna is virtually impossible. The only thing to my benefit is that unlike Gojo, Sukuna does not possess inviolability. So it is possible for him to take damage from modern weaponry, in theory. But with a creature like Sukuna, the first strike is most important because it's highly unlikely that you'll get a second one.
Meaning what, Lieutenant?
Meaning that the first thing I engaged Sukuna with was a thermonuclear bomb.
Lieutenant!
Sir, I was given complete authority to use whatever means necessary to eliminate the threat known as special grade sorcerers. To think of Ryomen Sukuna as a man is a fatal mistake. Sukuna is a force of nature that will destroy and despoil anything in his path if he believes it would give him pleasure to do so. He is violence and death in the form of flesh. I was unsure if Geto Babylon would even be able to produce such a weapon, but given that it could, I used it. If I had a second nuke, I would have dropped that one too.
And was the nuke you did drop enough to kill him?
Of course not, sir. But it did leave him worse for wear. The nuke was wrapped in a thin but dense layer of my cursed energy, which upon the detonation of the bomb would have shot it in all directions at a speed slightly faster than that of sound. It tore through Sukuna's prodigious cursed energy like razors through a wet sheet of paper. But despite all this, given a few moments, it's likely that he would have made a complete recovery. But I made sure to not give him a few moments. Ryomen Sukuna was killed yesterday at 1700 hours. Marking the complete extinction of special grade Jujutsu sorcerers.
I find this all extremely hard to believe, Lieutenant. But given the reports on the reduced activity of cursed energy in that region, I find myself having no choice but to believe you. Which means the only special grade threat left in existence is you.
General.
I merely jest, Lieutenant. My colleague General Akutami will come meet you in your quarters later to run over any final details. But overall, good work, my boy. Dismissed.
Sir. How are we all doing, man? I hope y'all enjoyed that video. That thing took forever to make, but I really enjoyed making it, and it's probably, in my opinion, the best video I've made up to date. So I hope you all enjoy it. If you did like it, make sure to like, comment, and go ahead and subscribe. We're so close to 1,000. Oh my gosh, we only need 44 subscribers. So if y'all do that, please join the Before 1,000 Club. It makes me a very happy man. And you know, I do this for y'all. So whenever y'all show positive feedback, it makes me happy. But alright, y'all, I'm gonna let y'all go. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Kind of left on a cliffhanger. There may be a part 2. Who knows? You know, like and comment for part 2. That's all I'm gonna say. But alright, I'll catch y'all later. Peace.